Let's turn to the liturgy real quick. We're going to borrow the same liturgy that we did before we went into the Passover season, because we want to just add a bookend to the Passover season. I won't wax long. I'll just read the liturgy, and then we'll jump right into the video. Isaiah chapter 2, verses 1 through 4, starting over here on the left side of the page in the English. Isaiah chapter 2, verse 1. The word that Isaiah, the son of Amos, saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem. Verse 2. And it shall come to pass in the latter days that the mountain of the house of the Lord shall be established as the highest of the mountains, and shall be lifted up above the hills, and all the nations shall flow to it. Verse 3. And many people shall come and say, Come, let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, to the house of the God of Jacob, that he may teach us his ways, and that we may walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. And verse 4. He shall judge between the nations, and shall decide disputes for many peoples, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war any more. Let's go back up and read the Hebrew of that same section. Starting over here on the right side of the page in verse 1. The Hebrew says, Hadavar ha'asher haya chaza Yeshayahu ben Amoz al Yehuda v'Yerushalayim. Verse 2. V'haya ba'achrit hayamim nachon yiyeh har beit Adonai b'rosh heharim v'nisa migvaot v'naharu elaiv kol hagoyim. Verse 3 right there says in the Hebrew, V'halhu amim rabim Va'amru luchu v'na'eleh el har Adonai el beit Elohei Yaakov v'yorenu mizrachai v'nelcha b'orchotaiv ki mitzion Tetze Torah u'devar Adonai mi Yerushalayim. And verse 4 right there, the Hebrew says, V'shafat ben hagoyim v'hochiach le'amim rabim V'chitati charvotam le'itim v'chanitotehem le'mizmerot lo yisa goy el goy cherev v'lo yilmedu od milchama. Let's turn to the Apostolic Scriptures passage. Galatians chapter 2 verses, I want to jump down to verse 15 and we'll read through the end of the chapter. Starting right there on the left side of the page. The ESV says, Galatians 2:15. This is Paul speaking to Peter. We ourselves are Jews by birth and not Gentile sinners. Verse 16. Yet we know that a person is not justified by works of the law, but through faith in Jesus Christ. So we also believed in Christ Jesus in order to be justified by faith in Christ and not by works of the law, because by works of the law no one will be justified. Verse 16. But if in our endeavor to be justified in Christ we too were found to be sinners, is Christ then a servant of sin? Certainly not. Verse 18. For if I rebuild what I tore down, I prove myself to be a transgressor. Verse 19. For through the law I died to the law so that I might live to God. Verse 20. I've been crucified with Christ. It is no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me. And the life I now live in the flesh, I live by faith in the Son of God, who loved me and gave himself for me. Verse 21, For I do not nullify the grace of God. I do not nullify the grace of God, for if righteousness were through the law, then Christ died for no purpose. Let's go back up real quick and read the Greek. Starting in verse 15, right over there. The Greek says, Hemes phusei, Judaioi kai uk ex ethnon hamartoloi. Verse 16. Edates dehatiu dekaiutai, anthropos ex ergo namu, ian me diapistios Christu Jesu, kai hemes eis Christon, iusan epistusimen, hina dekauthomen ek pistios Christu, kai uk ex ergo namu, hati ex ergo namu u dekaothesadai pasa sarx. Verse 17. A dezetuntis dikaiothenai in Christo euthemen. Kai altoi hamartoi ara Christos hamartias diakonos me genoita. Verse 18. E gar hakatalusa tauta palin oikadamo parabatain hiautan sunestano. Verse 19. Ego gardia namu namo apethanon hina theo zeso. Verse 20. Christo sunastauromai zo dis ukete ego ze de in emoi Christos ha de nun zo in sarki in piste zo te tu huio tu theutu agapesantas me kai paradantas hiautan huper emu. And the last verse, verse 21, uk atheto tain karentu theu e gardia namu dia dikaio sune ara Christos dorian apethanin. And that'll do it for the liturgy for tonight.